We now bring in Josh Ederheimer, former assistant police chief for MPD in Washington, D.C., and also a former Department of Homeland Security official. Josh, welcome back to the show. Let me start with the basics here and the fact that you've got Illinois' governor pointing out that there's no state of emergency. Do you typically find that governors with a security detail and police officers who are actually patrolling the streets are usually on the same page about that kind of assessment?
Well, I mean, they can be on the same page, but I look at what's happening in Chicago two ways: operationally and from a public safety perspective and from a political perspective. And all the rhetoric aside, just take a moment to look at crime, and crime is down. But what does that look like? Just homicides, over 500 homicides last year on the same rate this year. It's down from 800. But think about that number, 574 homicides last year in Chicago. Think about a weekend of 20 to 40 shootings over a weekend in Chicago. So I think we need to look at what's actually happening on the streets. And I think that the governor might be painting a picture that's politically favorable to him and to Illinois.
So with that being said, in your eyes, should the president expand this operation and send in troops to Chicago?
Well, the other side of the coin is the political side. So I just want to point out there are 18,000 police departments in the United States. The reason for that is local control. Communities like to have local control. And I think this is why you're seeing some people protest. They need help. They want help. You heard one of the residents just now on your show talk about the need to bring in the Guard. I think that there's fear because they're not going to be in control of the Guard. My advice, if I was asked, would be to make sure that the Guard is under the unified command of the Chicago Police Department. And I think that might allay a lot of the fear.
Yeah, I spoke to former superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, Eddie Johnson, yesterday. He said, I think Chicago police would be fine with this. If the Guard came in, did it in the proper way, we all work together in tandem between the feds and the local teams. You've navigated those partnerships before. What should genuine collaboration look like?
Well, again, unified command where the Chicago police are in charge of the operations in Chicago with the National Guard. What I have seen and done in Washington when I was with MPD was we actually embedded the DC police officers with the National Guard troops. So they were never alone, so to speak, and off doing their own thing. There was always a police officer with them, which helped with communication, coordination, and focus.
Yeah, I know that Governor Pritzker just yesterday said we've not even been reached out to, by the feds yet to talk about, partnerships or what this would look like on the ground. Just speaking to the political component of this that you brought up right off the top, if this is truly about combating crime and not just political targeting, do you think that the president should start listing off some Republican-led cities and states that he wants to send troops to as well?
Well, I think both sides need to acknowledge that crime is a problem in blue and red cities. I think that acknowledgement and not just saying crime is down when people don't feel safe, that's not a good strategy. But I think that could be an option as long as the local leaders and the local police in those jurisdictions, red or blue, are working in concert and leading and guiding the Guard.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.